Welcome, witchlings. Welcome back to Witchy Wisdom, our little corner of the day dedicated to learning, exploring, and deepening our understanding of the craft. Whether you're brand new to the path or you've been walking it for years, there's always something new to discover. So, let's take a few minutes together to explore the history, practices, tools, and traditions that help us build a more thoughtful, informed, and meaningful practice. All right. So, my lovely witchlings, we are talking crystals today. I am so excited. I love crystals. I am so happy about this week. So, welcome back to Witchy 101. Yesterday, we talked about why witches work with crystals. That's some alliteration for you. We talked about why witches work with crystals and how these ancient stones can serve as allies, reminders, and amplifiers for our own intentions. We explored the science behind crystals, the magic behind crystals, and the idea that crystals are not sources of power that replace our own. They are partners in the work we're already doing. So today we are taking it to the next step. Yay! How do you actually choose a crystal? Because if you've ever walked into a crystal shop, a gem fair, a rock show, or even the crystal collection section of a metaphysical store, you have probably experienced just a little moment of complete overwhelm. There are trays and shelves and baskets filled with hundreds of stones. Some are polished, some are rough, some sparkle, and some glow. Some have names you've never heard before, and before long, you're just kind of sitting here wondering, how the fluff do I know which one is right? Do I need to memorize all of the correspondences first? What if I choose the wrong one? The good news, my witchlings, is that choosing your crystal is much less complicated than many people make it seem. In fact, one of the most important lessons I can share is this. The best crystal for you is often the one that chooses you. Now, you're going to find plenty of correspondence charts online and in books. We're going to have, not that one, it doesn't show as well. We have Rose Quartz for love, or amethyst for intuition. Where's my damn citrine? All right. There we go. Citrine for abundance, black tourmaline for protection, and those lists are wonderful and amazing starting points. They help us understand the traditional energies associated with the different stones. But honeys, they are not rules. They are guideposts. Because ultimately, the relationship you build with a crystal matters far, far more than whether you perfectly memorized a chart. And that's why I always encourage people, whenever possible, to choose your crystals in person. Wander through the shop slowly. Take a breath and pay attention. Notice where your eyes keep going back to. Notice which stones seem to stand out, and then notice which ones you're drawn toward again and again. Sometimes a crystal will catch your attention because of its color, or sometimes because of its shape. That's what happened with this one. Sometimes simply because it feels interesting. And there are times when there is absolutely no logical explanation at all. You just know. And that intuition matters. Pick up the crystal, if you're allowed to, and hold it in your hand. Just kind of notice how it feels. Some people describe feeling warmth. Others describe tingling, or a subtle vibration. I get the tingling and vibration. And sometimes absolutely nothing dramatic happens at all. Sometimes it simply feels comfortable. Like meeting someone and immediately feeling at ease in their presence. Trust that. Now, one of my favorite stories to tell about crystals happened to me, a little over 20 years ago at a gem fair in San Diego. Reminder, I am autistic ADHD. I had gone to this gem fair with the incubator, and in true ADHD fashion, I forgot to take my meds that morning. This is bad. Now, imagine this. Just picture this. We are in this building, so many vendors, thousands of crystals, thousands of beads, thousands of shiny things. Every direction I looked and turned, there was another sparkle just screaming for my attention. After an hour or two max, I was completely overwhelmed by the shinies. And I found myself standing at one point, at one booth, just petting strands of semi-precious chip beads that are hanging on the wall and going, pretty. That is where the incubator found me, just over and over. Pretty. Like a toddler who had discovered glitter for the very first time. Was not my finest moment, I will admit. I can look back and laugh at it now, but somewhere in the middle of all that sensory overload, I picked up a small rose quartz egg, and everything changed. The moment I picked it up and held it that first time, it felt warm. Not physically warm from the environment, although that was a part of it too, but warm in a way that is just difficult to explain. It was almost like it was saying, well, there you are. I've been waiting for you. And I know that sounds batshit crazy and strange to people who have never experienced it, but many crystal practitioners and crystal hoarders will know exactly what I'm talking about, because sometimes a crystal just clicks. There's that feeling of connection, and that little rose quartz egg came home with me. All these years later, she still sits here on my desk. I don't think a day goes by that I don't touch that rose quartz egg. She has been with me through divorce, moving houses, getting jobs, losing jobs, starting my own business, content creation, readings, classes, difficult conversations, celebrations, losing my parents and various pets, and victories. And it's not because she's the most expensive crystal I own. By far, no. Definitely not because she's the rarest, because rose quartz is anything but rare. But because she is one of the crystals I have connected with the most deeply. And that's something I really want newer witches to hear. Size doesn't matter. I mean, I have little bitty crystals here. Yes, that's rose quartz too. Size doesn't matter. Price does not matter. The rarity of a gem does not matter. You do not need the giant ass crystal tower. You do not need the 3-foot long, 4-foot tall geode that sits in the rock shop. You don't need museum quality specimens. You don't need a collection worth thousands and thousands of dollars. Sometimes the most important crystal you will ever own is that little tiny tumble from the bargain basket. Because the value isn't in the crystal's market price. The value is in the relationship. Think of crystals the same way you think about people. Some become lifelong friends. Some walk beside us for a season. Some arrive to teach us a lesson and then move on. That would be a number of my hematite points. Crystals are very familiar. Some are going to stay on your altar for decades. Others will be exactly what you need for a specific chapter in your life. Neither relationship is more valid than the other, so if you're standing in the crystal shop wondering whether you're choosing the right crystal, I want you to ask a different question. Not, is this the right crystal for me today? Ask yourself, do I feel a connection to this rock? Does this crystal make me curious? Does it remind me of who I'm becoming? Because that right there, that's where the real relationship begins, with curiosity, trust, intuition, and most of all, with a willingness to listen. So, tomorrow, we're going to explore some of my personal favorites, including rose quartz. I have a ton of rose quartz. Hematite. And my birthstone, garnet. And I'll share some of the stories and lessons that they've brought into my life. Because, well, I am a crystal dragon. I hoard my crystals. So until then, I want you all to trust your instincts. Trust your intuition. And remember that sometimes the crystal that's meant for you is already trying to get your attention. I'm Di the Yoga Witch, my witchlings, and this has been Witchy 101. Stay curious, stay grounded, keep the heart fire burning, and go make some good trouble. Until next time, namaste, my witchlings.